What's up, all you fishing fools? Jim Walsh coming to you live from Walsh Hog Custom Baits again. So, I had a lot of people asking me and questioning me about blanks, man. Something that you really don't think about when you've been doing this as long as I have. But, we all started somewhere, and people's asking me where to get blanks and this, that, and other. And I usually mention it on some of my other videos where you can go. There's a couple ways you can go about buying blanks. You can actually go online to, Alibaba or one of those sites, and you can order blanks by the ton. You can buy a bunch of them at one time and save you a bunch of money. If you don't know, just about all blanks, acrylic or plastic blanks, come from China one way or another. If you get them from somebody here in the U.S., they were probably still manufactured over there anyway. It sucks, but that's the way it is. Nobody here really does it. So with that being said, you got to be careful of the quality because, even whether they come from China or, wherever they come from, just like anything else, you're going to have good manufacturers and you're going to have some manufacturers are not that good. So I'll go back to what I was saying. You can order on bulk from different places, and they're going to come from overseas, save you a lot of money, you think. I learned this the hard way. So you order all these lures, all these blank lures, and oh man, that's a good price. I'm getting them at a good price. And you're going to get a pile of them, and you're going to find out that probably, at least in my experience, at least 1/3 of that pile of lures that you got, you can throw them in the garbage. Something's going to be wrong with them. They're going to be cracked. They're going to be split. I mean, that's just part of doing business. But, most places like that sell them in bulk, there's not a whole lot of quality control. They're dumping them off a machine. They're dumping them in a big bin. You order them. They dumping them out of that big bin into a little bin, and they sending them to you. So the way around that problem that I found, and you pay a little bit more for your blanks, but is pay somebody to go ahead and do that for you. So you have people selling blanks around here, online. You can search just some of the handful of guys, and I don't get paid to endorse anybody. So this is just some of the people that I use, and there's other ones I use I'll probably forget. I don't want to make anybody mad, but probably the biggest distributors that I use here in the United States are Sugar Tick Customs, Backwater Outfitting, Dinger Baits, Alternative Lures, and there's a couple other people, Cassani, I think's his last name. He'll sell them off of his website. So basically what you're paying them for is they've already gone through them. They get them in bulk. They go through them. They check them out. They quality test them, and then they sell them to you. So, of course, man, they're a little bit more. But in my opinion, if I don't have to deal with crap lures because, with my experience, I got them, tested them, thought they were good, and some of them I didn't test. I just assumed they were good. And I didn't find out something was wrong with them after I got them painted. So I spent all this time putting this beautiful paint job on this lure. I go to, put a clear coat on it, and then I find a crack. I actually got one lot one time that they looked good, they tested good, and as soon as that clear coat hit them for whatever reason, they cracked. So, you can do that if you want to. It's not worth it to me. I'd rather go ahead and get somebody that's already looked at them and tested them. But with that being said, when I get lures from somebody else, I still go ahead and test them myself. The biggest thing I do when I get lures in, lure blanks, just say like this weight bait here, I take a big thing of water, a big bowl of water, and I'll dump all my lures in there, and I'll just let them sit. And then basically what you're doing is you looking to see if any of those lures leak. If you got a couple that leak, it's not the end of the world, because if you can find that leak, maybe a seam or something, man, you can put super glue on it and fix it, because you got to realize you're going to super glue it, then you're going to paint over that, and then you're going to put a clear coat over that. So once you do all that, the chances of it leaking are virtually, it ain't going to happen. It'll be fine. Then you'll get some that when you look at them and you see that water, and then you'll look and you'll see a big bust or a crack in it and you can't use it. But if you got it from a manufacturer here, man, you can contact them and say, hey, dude, I got, 3 lures, here they are, send them a picture, they got a crack in them, and they'll usually either send you lures to make it right, or they'll give you some money back. Good luck if you got them suckers from overseas dealing with China or whatever, because you'll never hear from them. You just out that money. So even though the prices are a little bit more doing it that way, I like to do it. So the next thing I usually do after I test them, since I already got them in the water, I go ahead and I usually add a little Dawn dishwashing liquid. Now what that does is any kind of oil or anything like that may be on that blank from it being manufactured, dust or whatever, that Dawn will help it get it off. I mean, if you've ever dealt with Dawn, that's probably one of the best degreasers there is. I mean, hell, they use it to take oil off of wildlife. So just a little bit of Dawn in there, swirl your lures around in it, because what happens if you get that lure, and you notice I always have gloves on, because just the oil from your hands, any kind of oil or anything like that that's on this lure, and you paint over that paint's not going to stick. It's going to fail. Same way with your clear coat. If you have any kind of oil off your hands or anything like that, it's not going to stick. It's going to fail. One of your customers is going to throw it. They're going to fish with it. They're going to catch a fish, and that fish is going to grab it. And where that oil is under your paint and under that clear coat, it's going to just peel off, and you're going to have an upset customer. So go ahead and do that. The other thing I do is after I do all that and I dry my lures off, you know, some of these lures, which this one I've already scuffed up, but they'll come in it, which this one has holographics in it, and that's why it's so shiny. But you'll notice that plastic will be shiny, shiny. Let me cut this compressor off. It'll be shiny, shiny. It'll look almost like glass. Now, I can tell you, a lot of people don't do it, but I scuff them up. I try to at least get that shine off there, because in my opinion, if you've ever tried to paint on glass, you know that paint doesn't stick to it. So you need to rough it up. I mean, you don't need to put big gouges and scratches in it, just enough to dull that clear off there, and that puts little micro scratches in it, and basically that gives something for your paint to hold on to when your paint hits it. That's the most important part you'll find is going to be your lure prep. What you do to that lure before you even start painting. And I can't stress that enough, because it all starts with a good canvas. Then you're going to put a base coat on. And if that base coat doesn't hold to this lure, nothing else is going to hold to it. So I scuff mine up. Also, with that being said, a lot of times if you get them from manufacturers here in the U.S., like Dinger and all them, I can tell you, when you get your bait, it's already scuffed up. It's not shiny. They've already took the time to do that for you. So you're ready to paint with it. The next thing I do, and realize a lot of this is overkill, but you have to realize that I do sell my lures, and you know, with that being said, customer satisfaction is my number one. If I got an issue, I'm going to fix it. So I try not to have any kind of issue. So even after I've bathed it in Dawn dishwashing liquid and I've dried it and I've scuffed it, the next thing I'm going to do after I scuff it is I'm going to take rubbing alcohol and I'm going to wipe it down with a rubbing alcohol. Now, a lot of people will tell you, oh, don't do that because that rubbing alcohol leaves a residue, blah, blah, blah. And it may. I don't know. But since I've started, I've rubbed mine down with rubbing alcohol, and I ain't ever had an issue. The next thing is once you do all that, under no circumstances, do not touch your lure without a glove, because if you do, you've messed it all up. You've done it for nothing. You've cleaned this lure, you've degreased it and everything, and then you're gonna rub your hands all over it. You might as well not even done anything to it. And with that being said, even with gloves, you want to touch it, the actual bait, the least amount as possible. And the reason why I'm telling you that is because even with gloves, if you leave these gloves on long enough, you're sitting here, you're painting, you're doing this, well, your nose itches, so you scratch your nose. Your head itches, you touch your hair. Something in your beard, you're rubbing your beard. Every time you touch your hair, touch your skin, it's getting on them gloves. I mean, there's nothing you can do about it. So the next thing I do to prep my lure, after I do all that, I don't like my bills painted. A lot of people do. They paint them, and that's great. If you want to paint your bills, paint them. One reason why I don't like to paint them is because when that lure's running through the water, the first thing that's going to hit, if it hits a rock, bounce off a rock or whatever, is that bill. Not that it hurts it, but that paint's gonna chip on there. There's no way around it. It's gonna chip on there. If you throw it enough and it hits enough stumps and enough stobs, that bill's gonna chip. And to me, it just looks bad. So I leave mine clear. Now, when I clear coat my bait with UV or whatever, I'm gonna dip the whole bill and I'm gonna put the clear coat on there. So you see you looking at it like, well, you scratch that bill up. Look at all them scratches on that bill. Well, even though I'm not painting it, when I put it in the clear coat, that clear coat's gonna catch on them scratches. Them scratches will totally disappear. That clear coat will fill them in. That clear coat's gonna also protect that bill. And that bill will be shiny and it'll look just like glass. But I take mine off. And only thing I use to tape it off with is I just use I prefer 3M painter's tape. I'm not even sure what size this is. This might be a 1/2 inch or something like that. Some people use wider stuff depending on what you're doing. And so you want to try to tape this bill up, but just the bill. And usually the way I start off mine is I'll tear a piece about that big right there, and I'll just tear it off as square as I can. And you'll see that square edge. I'll put it on there at an angle, and I'll show you. And this is probably not a real good bait to show you on because it's more of a straight bill. But normally, I would put my first piece of tape on an angle just like that. And what that does, which like I said, this bill's a little more rounded, like on your square bills, when you put it like that, then all you have to do is just wrap it like that. And you'll see, let's see, let me get it all the way around so you can see it. You'll see that it wraps around and it catches this edge. And then I'm gonna tear me another piece and I'm gonna do the exact same thing on the other side. And like I said, this is not a real good example because this bill is kind of round. Most of the ones I do is a square bill. So I basically put it in an angle, and then you'll see me, I'm just folding it under. And you're gonna have all this excess, and then basically all I do with that excess is I just trim it, tape sheet. So now you see I've got all the edges up to that bait kind of taped on the corners. And then basically all I'm gonna do after that is I'm gonna just take another little square piece like this and I'm gonna just put it straight on there. And you wanna line it up with the edge. And then you just fold everything over. And then you're gonna have a taped up bill. You know, and you're gonna have some sticking off, whatever, that doesn't matter, you just fold it under. And then you'll do the same thing on the bottom. And you'll see it's taped up. And if you go with that angle like I showed you, it'll catch that corner right there on the side of that bait and it'll lay down perfectly flat. And that way all you have taped is your bill. And then you can paint. And then when you get through painting, like I said, I clear coat my bill, so as soon as I'm through painting, I'll just peel that tape off. And you want to be careful when you peel that tape. If you have paint that's on that tape and that lure, instead of just grabbing it and ripping it off high, just grab your tape like this. I'm gonna show you. And you start peeling it back real slow. And you keep that tab of that tape real low. And you peel it off like that, and that way you're not taking any paint with it. You just do it real easy and real slow. There's no reason for you to get in a hurry with doing any of this. Just take it and you peel it back. Like I said, don't rip it high. Just lay that tape back. You'll see there's the edge, which is, this piece is away from the bait, but I'm just saying if it was by the bait, you take it and you roll it down and you just peel it off really slow, just like that. And then you'll have a clean bill. Everything around it will be painted, but your bill. And then I basically, after it's painted, my bill's tapes off my bill. I'll hook a wire through this bad boy just like this. I'll take a pair of pliers, squeeze that down, and she's ready to dip. I'll dip, And then after I dip and it starts dripping, I'll take this. This is what they call a drip wire. I know I've showed you all this before. And as this is dripping, I'm gonna take this wire and I'm gonna stick it through there, and I'm gonna just let that clear coat drip. And what this wire does is that wire pulls that the drip away from it that would normally form. Because if you don't put this wire, when it drips, it's gonna dry, and you're gonna have a big clump of coating right here. And if you look through my YouTube, I've got some videos where I actually dip and show what I'm doing, but I'm just kind of taking you through the process of lure prep. And then after that, you good to go. But like I said, the biggest thing you got to remember is keeping these lures as clean as possible after you clean them. Everything starts with your prep. If you don't have the prep right, it's going to cause you a lot of heartache, I can promise you. Anyway, man, I hope that tip helps anybody that's interested. Walshaw Custom Baits, baby. You already know. Get you some.